From pandemic to endemic, I quoted a boss. Now we turn to the boss, Michael Steele. Good to have you back, sir.
Hey, what's up, brother? Good to be with you, as always, Ari.
What's up? Well, we walked through some of these shifts. What do you see, both in blue following red, and a difficult but needed conversation and adjustment to where we're going?
Well, so I've got, first off, I just want to say, and I think your audience really appreciated what you did, because you laid down a very strong predicate for this conversation and for what people should really be thinking about at this point. So I have two thoughts that come to mind based on what you said. The first is a practical one. One of the strengths and one of the challenges of this entire process was the coordination and alignment of the messaging and the science, the messaging on the science, the how you move the people to understand and better respond to what was happening around them. We got the early days of confusion, what was up, what was down. We then figure that out, and then we were going through another, oh my God, what is that, part two? And then there was a part three. So I think where we are now is people have largely understood what the lifespan of this has been, and what their reality has been as this has evolved. And so where they are now is, okay, we're ready to play. And Democrats begin to understand that as well, as we're seeing the blue following the red. But let's understand what they are not following. They were not following the irresponsible messaging and behavior that occurred prior to where we are right now. When you vote, folks were told to inject themselves with bleach, or, we're going to be back in church by Easter. Don't worry about it. It's all going to go away. So they approached it very practically. The problem for both the Trump administration and the Biden administration was that alignment of the message on the science and the message of how we walk through this. Now, the more cynical side of me heard something else from what you said, and that was there's an election in November. Voters in poll after poll has made it very, very clear they're tired, okay? I want my kid back in school, and I don't want him wearing a mask because the science tells us A, B, C, and D. And so now you have that political pushing the practical. In other words, the practical part of, okay, no mask, if you got the vaccine, et cetera, is coming into play because of the politics of what's coming down the road. And you want to be off of that messaging, that negative messaging that voters have come to believe about where we are with COVID right now. Put on a positive front, show the economies are turning around, kids are back in school, masks are optional depending on what's going on in your community, which is why governors are saying give it to the localities.
Yeah, excellent breakdown. I mean, as you say, no false equivalence about some of the irresponsible actions taken, yet any leader has to be able to adjust. I mean, at what point does Joe Biden, who was very bullish on his mandate, for a lot of reasons, and again, vax or test is not forcing people to vax. It's just not. It's right. I mean, you talk about messaging. They had weeks where people were talking about it like a vax mandate, which is different. I could just say when it comes to legal rights and people's personal decisions, which you could respect, that's very different than, well, if you don't want to vax, test, right? But
it is.
At what point do you think the Biden administration has to further pivot, or do you feel that they're in the right place, policy and leadership messaging?
I think right now they're in the right place unless the science tells us that the place has moved, right? That what's going on in that space is changing. In other words, as we now, we're at that halfway point between winter and spring. As we begin to move into the spring months, what happens? What's our reality? Kids are back in schools. The mandates have been lifted in large measure. Economies are further opening. Businesses are seeing employees come back, et cetera. Are there spikes? Are there other things that come up out of where we are right now that the president and governors, CDC, others have to look at that may change the course that we're on? But I think right now we're in a good space. The reality of it is a lot of Americans risk their own lives and the lives of their fellow American by being selfish. President Biden had to navigate through that, and did so bumpily at times, if there's such a word, with a lot of bumps, but also did manage to get to a point where now the governor of New York, the governor of California, governors around the state, blue state, red states, can now begin to look more optimistically about how to put in place the reopening of their economies and their communities with a lot less stress than we've seen in recent months.
Fair. And you ask, is bumpily a word? And we would have to call George Will or someone of that level of erudition. I do not know.
We'll just make it work for our conversation. We'll just make it work for tonight. It's a sort of bibbly bumpily, right?
Bibbly bumpily. I'll say this. When we have Michael Steele here, we feel the segment, the reporting, both bumps and slaps, like any good club banger, if you know what I mean, Michael.
I got to go lay that down with some tracks when I do my little DJ tonight. That's good, man. I like that. Slap. Yeah, put a few slaps in there.
Yeah. Michael Steele, we always love having you. We'll see you soon.
Same
we have
here,
Paul
man.
Krugman. Great to see you. We have Paul